You to a short presentation about storyboarding for IDT, and this is directed at my scholars in the 640 course, which is an e-learning development course at Franklin University. And I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to listen to view this short several minute presentation. Again, storyboarding is a common practice in our field. I've worked with students and teachers for over 2 decades in terms of putting together storyboards for their projects. And it's kind of storyboarding was made popular perhaps to the public in terms of the work of Walt Disney and a lot of the exhibits that were provided to the public through Disney World, if you would say, because the animation process is a process of thinking through what's going to happen in the animation and then building it, and it's a series of frames generally. So in terms of storyboarding, often we think about this concept of frame by frame view of the e-learning experience. And in addition to that, there's other components that have to be added to the storyboard. But the first thing we think about is the process that we're going to go through. And is it circular? Is it mapping it out in a linear way, or a way where we can see where the learning event will go from step to step? And sometimes it's not just linear. Sometimes it goes in multiple directions. And we get a sense of what each screen image will look like as we proceed through the experience. And it just helps to know what items will be on that screen, what text, what images, and then what other objects will be there in terms of navigation, or in terms of video, or buttons. So again, we have visuals that provide the learner with images, symbols, so that in addition to words, we can use symbols to help people to know what objects might be able to do for them, or what objects are. So we think in terms of symbols and images as much as we think in terms of words and text. Okay, so the process is gather your information, find out what's going on, what are the needs of the person you're working with, what's your learner characteristics, what approach are you going to take, and pull together all your ideas in one area. You can do this on a sheet of paper and on note cards or whatever, and then try to sort things out in a sequence. How are you going to navigate through the learning event? And then once you do that, that might even be a concept map or some kind of visual drawing. And then you're going to get into the details. And that's where the rubber meets the road in storyboarding. You're going to actually lay out your map. Now, for this course, we're not going to be tedious in our work. We're just going to do enough so that we can develop our prototype. It's not like you're handing off your storyboard to a developer. You're going to be the developer. So it's a very fluid process for you, because you'll storyboard, but in your development process you might not stick to the storyboard. So let's not get too tedious. Just enough in your storyboard as a guide for yourself, and a guide for people giving you critiques, your peers, and a guide for me to give you suggestions. And I explained that earlier on. But now, what tools we use to storyboard? Well, a storyboard could be done in a notebook on paper, with paper and pencil. You could storyboard on a napkin with a marker. We typically use templates for storyboarding, and that works well. But since in this course we're using Captivate, it makes a lot of sense for you to storyboard right in a PowerPoint presentation. So instead of using the forms